It's time for the Film Crickets with Jay Fortier, Chris Martineau, and Melanie Howerton. On this week's episode, our good friend Ray Osier gets back in the saddle and helps the Crickets on their month-long review of horror films. Jay, Chris, Melanie, and Ray review the 1985 American supernatural slasher film, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Does it stand the test of time? Let's find out. Your Film Crickets are on now.
All right. Hey, friends, and welcome to the Film Crickets. It's a podcast about the past, and we review movies from 1980 to 1999 to decide how well they hold up today. And I am your co-host, Jay Fortier, along with my good friend and co-host, Chris Martineau.
What's happening, y'all?
Hey. And also my good friend and co-host, Melanie Howerton.
Hello.
Hey, good thing you didn't wave this week.
I waved, but you still can't.
No, I'm just joking. And once again, he is back for some more punishment. No, he loves it. We love him. Ray Osier, welcome back, buddy.
Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm back,
right.
much like Freddy Krueger was in this movie.
Oh, yes, right. You can't keep a
Breaking
good
all
Ray
the
down.
rules. Breaking all the rules. Jumping out of dream sequences, but dreams are still happening on the outside while everybody's alive and awake. Like flames just going everywhere on the pool. And yeah, it's good stuff.
Yep.
So we'll talk about all that. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a fun one because this one, like it was one of those, man. It's not without its. It's like a lightning rod, if you want, if you will, when it comes to the Nightmare series. Would you say?
Yes, I would say it's certainly a lot of attention has been drawn to this movie. Some good, some bad, but we're going to certainly address all of that. So here we are in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. We chose not the first one. No. We're not going to do the classic. Oh, hell no. We're going to do the second one. Not the third one, which everyone loves. Almost, right? Just about. Oh, I forgot. I apologize. I forgot, right?
Right.
I apologize. So we're going for the second one. So we're at Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge in our review of horror movies. So let's set back here. I would like to know what our history is with this film. I think it's going to be rather interesting. I know what I need to say about when the last time I saw this movie was, and what it meant to me as a youth. But let's start with our guest, because we're cordial here on the old Film Crickets. So let's go to Ray. Mr. Ray, what's your history with this film before your recent viewing?
Well, huge fan of the first, so as soon as the second one came out, I would watch it over and over and over again, and then continue to do so for years until I lost my box set of Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I know.
That's a shame.
Once you left the house, I know. I said, take all your stuff. That's great. Fine. Just, leave my stuff. She took the box set.
Oh,
And
you
back
gotta
then-
hide that 50%. That's the 50% you hide, Ray.
Right? She took all the good
I
movies.
should go get mine. I have mine.
Even back then, like DVD sets were expensive. This was like a $200 set. Anyway,
I have it.
I don't think I've seen this movie maybe 10 or 15 years.
Okay.
And I thought, I already know the movie. I don't really need to rewatch it. And then the documentary came out with the kid who played, or Mark, who played the lead.
Jesse.
The stream.
Jesse.
Yes. And I watched that, enjoyed it. And then I should have rewatched it because the discussion we had beforehand changed my view on everything. So I might struggle with this discussion today.
That's
but
okay.
I'll give it a shot.
Cool, man. All right. Jason, going to clockwise from the top.
Sure. But let me see. I watched the first one. I know we're not going down that, all about the first one, but that's obviously what got me into the series. I did not see it in the theater or anything, but when it came out, I think on cable, my brothers and I and a friend watched it, and it was kind of a casual, hey, this is, whatever. It's the sequel. Hey, it's gonna be fun. And then there was, it didn't feel as exciting as the first, and I barely watched it much throughout the years. In fact, I started rewatching it within the last year and didn't finish it.
All right.
So until last night, I finally finished it. So it's probably the first time since maybe early 90s, late 80s, sometime
Cool.
in the 80s. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So, again, there's a reason for this. I got to ask, right? So we all saw it when we were younger, and now we're revisiting it after a large gap. It seems to be the case. Melanie Howerton, talk to me about your history with this movie.
I've just always, I don't know when the first time I ever watched any of these were, but I have them. I've had them on the whole collection, like Ray said, but I have the whole thing. So
I didn't know you were divorced from Ray. That's amazing. All right. So,
yes, I
She took it.
yeah, I have all of them, and so I don't know. I just always remember growing up with them, and I remember watching them I watched all of them with my girls. So I don't know how many years ago that was, and then I just watched this one a few days ago, and then I was trying to watch more of it today.
all right. Did you finish it today?
I did not. I have like 10 minutes left of it.
Well, that's all right.
Well,
all right, cool.
We'll press pause.
Yeah. Well, that was like me with Killer. That was me with Killer Clowns. I just couldn't deal with it. I just got stopped because it glitched. All right. So here's my deal with this movie. I am fairly certain I did not see the first one first, unless I'm making up my own history. I don't think I saw the first one first. I either saw the second or the third one first. I knew all about Freddy because he was such a pop culture thing anyway. I mean, Reagan mentions, the Democrats want the economy to look like A Nightmare on Elm Street, right? So he was in the pop culture, obviously. And so I think I saw 2 or 3 first. I don't remember which one. And actually, when I went back to see the first one, I liked it, but I'm like, why can't I see Freddy? I want to see scars. I want to see burns. I want to see all that stuff, and it's not that evident in the first one, which makes the first one better anyway. So I was actually, I don't know that I was disappointed. I was just surprised. I do know that I had this poster in my room, and it wasn't the one that's on IMDb. It's just Freddy in a close-up with the glove on the face. And I do remember watching it over and again because I liked the scares. I liked the idea of Freddy. I liked that I could see him. He wasn't just in the shadows like in the first one for most of the movie. And I remember liking the kills, which was cool. But it was in high rotation. And then once I think I started working and I couldn't watch many movies, I don't think I watched it quite as much. I know I watched it with my friends. And at the time, we just liked it as a horror movie and did not see any of the subtext. So, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in a moment. So that's our history with it. Just so we're clear, and we don't have to go, just do it quick. Where is this in the whole series in your book? Is it dead last? Is it in the middle? Is it your favorite? What's your deal with this movie? We'll go Melanie first. Put you on the spot.
Okay. Unlike a lot of people, I don't hate this movie. I never have. I think I'm going to be the oddball in this thing because it's cheesy. They're all cheesy. They get cheesier as they go. So this still has a little bit of scare to it when I don't think the other ones do. The first one is the scariest one, and to me, obviously, it's totally the best. This still has a little bit of, even though it's so different than the other ones, it still is supposed to be a little bit scarier. Freddy doesn't get so much like a smart aleck until he has one comment that he makes, you have the body, I have the brains, and that's like the one thing. But then people like that so much, then he went off of that, and then he's like super sarcastic after. So, and I like Scream because they're funny. I love those because they're funny. But I think that this, I'm going to be the oddball. I don't hate this one at all. I like it, and I think some of the other ones in the future get really dumb.
So are you middle of the pack? Are you closer, top third?
I guess maybe top 3 or 4.
All right, that's cool. Jay.
So I wore my shirt today.
All right.
Whether all 3 are having cake together.
Nice.
Oh, super. All right.
Yeah. Now, okay, so I'm not a diehard fan of the series. I like the first one a lot. I like the third one a lot. This one was a pleasant surprise yesterday compared to what I imagined it was going to be. It was better than I remembered. Can I say specifically where I rank it? No, because
I'm not asking that.
After no. I mean, I can't say where it lands. I would say take this one and put it with the others that aren't 1 and 3.
Got it.
And I also really dug New Nightmare. If you want to come,
Sure.
like I like that a lot. But it's like almost like, standing on its own. Like so like
Yeah.
maybe don't even count it if you want to
Yeah.
go with all the sequels.
Cool.
So I would say push that off to the side. But other than that,
All right.
yeah. I mean,
Cool.
I can't say where it ranks, but it's
Excellent. Ray.
I'd go 3, 2, 1. No, 3, 1, 2. Excuse me. Third one.
All right.
First one, second one. So my
right.
top 3 too. I liked this movie. Maybe if I watched it again today, knowing everything I know about the movie, it'd be hard to enjoy what I originally enjoyed it for. It's hard to say, but my history with this is I really enjoyed it for the kills, for the scares, for the sarcasm to come. We can see that it's happening. It's also not a great sequel compared to the first one. I'm sure they could have done a better job. But still, I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, I think there are times, and we'll discuss, it doesn't make a lick of sense. Like what's happening does not make a lick of sense at all. And you're okay with that with a horror movie, but up to a point. And when it really just doesn't jive at all with the logic of, I know it's a horror movie, and there's a logic to Freddy, but it's like the logic doesn't jive a bit. But we'll get to that in a minute. I'm with Ray. I'm 3, 2, 1. I think it's like 4 is just blah, 5 is good. Like, and it just keeps getting corny. And at that point, we have, when it starts to go downhill, is when it starts to get quippy. And then they're all fun. They're all, like Melanie said, I agree. They're all corny. They're all dumb in one way or another, except maybe the first one. I mean, 3's got some silly shit in it. Like, there's no way around that. I mean, come on. I'm beautiful and bad.
but it got gritty.
I'm a wizard in my world. What the fuck is happening? Like, that's nuts.
No, you know what?
But it's all.
It got grittier. It got grittier again. Like this one had.
Yeah.
It lost whatever. I don't. We don't have to go deep right now, but it lost something from 1. We had actually discussed after you weren't here, Chris. I think when we were discussing the days on when we were going to do this, and from the last time, I think it was from. By the way, real quick, everybody, I had no idea because it's like I'm so busy thinking of many other things that I don't always look at this stuff. But Ray, you were a part of it. It was Friday the 13th, Part 4 was our 100th episode.
Holy shit!
Oh wow!
Wow!
Yeah.
I didn't know that. All right.
And now we're in October. I think October 8th is our anniversary. So it's 2 years now. So, hey.
Wow.
100 episodes.
Yeah, all right.
Congratulations. That's huge.
That's crazy pants.
Yeah.
Those royalties are going to start rolling in.
And the guy that played Jason just died the other day from
Right.
4.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
The one from Part
They
4.
told me that.
Yep.
Yeah, weird.
So sad.
No, but what I was going to say, like we had discussed. Now, Ray, you said you didn't get to watch it this weekend?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay. So, like, but did anybody else think this is a lot more colorful than Part 1?
Yes.
Like, meaning like
Yes.
it's vibrant.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yes.
uh,
Yes. Very
which,
vibrant.
no,
bit
no,
more
no, but I'm not,
daytime.
Yeah.
huh? Daytime, but also the colors are very like
Yes. Splashy.
like almost like they put the movie in all like like that detergent all look, all the colors are popping.
Well, I think.
By the way, this podcast
and
is brought to you by all.
three does it more, obviously, but this was 1985 when MTV was in full swing. I think when the first one came out, it was just at the beginning of the MTV days, so we didn't
Yep.
have that MTV mentality until 85, and then
Yep.
definitely for Part 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Docking. Don't forget. Vincent.
Oh my God.
All right. So let's do the one sentence breakdown. Then we'll get into the movie. And here we go. So it is time for. So let's see what IMDb has to say about this film. So Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Came out in 1985. Rated R. Brisk in 1 hour and 27 minutes. The one sentence breakdown is: a teenage boy is haunted in his dreams by deceased child murderer Freddy Krueger, who is out to possess him in order to continue his reign of terror in the real world. Directed by Jack Shoulder, written by David Chaskin and Wes Craven, credited but didn't probably have much to do with the script. Starring Robert Englund, Mark Patton, Kim Myers, Robert Rustler, and I'm not going to go through everybody except I have to mention Clu Gulager as the father, who is the best. Oh my God. I forget every time I see Clue, he's great in Return of the Living Dead, even though that movie's kind of iffy. I love his energy is great. He plays such a good conservative dad. It just a constant Clue Gulager in this movie has a constant air of like you're all full of shit but me, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So sorry, Jay, what are you gonna say?
No, I'm just adding to what I and Melanie. I apologize if I'm stealing any thunder here, but it's one of those things. I see it and I go, oh my God, I have to look this guy up. I think it's who I think it is, but they're not focusing on him. Who's his frenemy there? The guy that's like a bully, but he's not.
Grady?
Oh, Grady. Yeah.
Grady?
Grady?
All right.
Yeah.
Grady. Grady's dad is Ferris Bueller's dad.
Oh, you're right.
Oh my God! I
Yep.
didn't even catch that.
There it is.
I didn't even get it.
Lyman Ward.
I see
Mr.
him knocking
Grady.
at the door, and he's like, "Hey, let me in,
Yes.
Grady." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, that really looks like him." But I was like, they're not really like zeroing in and like giving him a lot of like stuff to say. And I was like, "Whoa!" But I mean, he hadn't been Ferris Bueller's dad yet, maybe.
Yeah.
Or he was
He was soon to be
the same year.
Ferris Bueller's. Yes. So
Yeah,
we
he's
got
a
to
respected
Do
father.
something on that. Sorry. Do
That's
you want me
all
to save it for trivia, or do you want me to say it?
Yeah,
Because it's
we got TMI.
about his real dad. It's
What?
about Grady, like Robert's real dad.
Okay, what?
Oh, Robert.
Well, all right. So you know how in Weird Science we were talking about how Robert Downey Jr. drove him, the other Robert Grady, to the audition for this.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess Robert watched this movie, went to go see it with his real dad, and then when the dad on the movie was like banging on the door and he was like screaming, "Help me, Dad!" during his death scene, his real dad started crying.
Oh.
Because he couldn't, he just to see his son in that position, like it just made him cry. I just have that on the trivia.
That's terrible. All right, so
I know.
so we're
Well, I
getting
mean,
this
it's
movie.
also sweet because that means like
Yeah.
your son is doing a really good job at acting. You know what I mean? At that point, so.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
And he's obviously the eye candy on the show.
oh sure, there's a lot of wet nails in this movie.
All right, guys.
No doubt about it.
Before I forget,
Yeah.
how funny is the line? Like, it's so glossed over.
Yeah.
What?
That- It's so glossed over that it doesn't really get a lot of attention, and it should.
Yeah.
That a little later in the film, he can't attend the party because he threw his grandmother down the stairs.
What? Oh my God!
Did
I
anybody hear
missed
this?
that. No.
Yeah.
Hey, all right,
Right,
so
right.
Grady is like mowing at lunch. He's like, "Rum, rum, 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 rum."
Yeah.
By the way, not as good as George Wendt. So
No.
he's sitting there eating, like, and you're going, "Rum, rum, rum," and, like everything's just like very, very like full mouth. And they're like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Grady, you coming to my party?" He goes, "No, I'm grounded." And he's like, "Why?" He's like, "I threw my grandmother down the stairs." Like,
Oh my
it's like-
God.
and nobody really reacts to that.
Yeah.
Like they just go back and they're like, "Hey, Jesse, what's wrong, man?" It's like you're not shocked that he just basically committed a violent act to his grandmother. I don't know, just crazy.
Because
Sorry.
they know
crazy.
he's joking. They know he's joking, and I totally didn't even think about that.
No,
That's
he
so
couldn't.
funny.
He wasn't at the party.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
but he
not.
probably was
it
grounded.
could have
for
been
some
something
stupid
else.
reason.
Yeah. Maybe something
I
he
don't
didn't
know.
want to
That
admit
was
because it
weird.
was so tame.
That's funny.
Yes. Oh
Well,
my
either way, it
goodness.
was like they didn't even react like it was a joke, though.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest part. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, somebody
Look.
dropped the ball somewhere.
The 80s
Yeah,
and the 80s were a tough time. People's grandmothers were getting thrown down the stairs all the time. So this movie. So we got to say this off the bat.
I know.
We can't not discuss the gay themes in this movie. Okay, we can't not discuss it. And I'm not coming from a point. I'm pretty progressive. Whatever, you do your thing. That's cool. It's hard to say this stuff without kind of giggling about it or laughing about it. I'm not laughing about it because, of the obvious, and they said it was subtext, but it's not. It's text. It's right there on the screen. I mean, there's no way around it. I'm only when I laugh about it, I just want to say that I'm not laughing about the subtext or text itself. The fact that nobody clued into it when we saw it in the 80s. I didn't. And I was talking to Ray and Melanie. We didn't, like, when I watched it when I was smaller, like it never, smaller, 12, 13, 14, like it didn't dawn on me like all of these things, which surprises me because I don't know about you, but if I see a man getting whipped to death by towels in the shower and so many close-ups on buttocks, so many close-ups on male buttocks, that it didn't even dawn on me. And it's amazing that it didn't, because it's so obvious. And I don't like that to me is it's just kind of funny that nobody thought about it. And I don't know what that means. Like, should we have picked up on that, or should we not have picked up on that? Like, I don't get it. Anybody's like, can anybody help me out with this? Little therapy session here. Like,
I don't think I realized it until I saw Mark Patton's documentary a few years ago, which I think is called Screen Queen, if I'm correct. And it was fantastic, and they really broke everything down, and then it became a cult classic in that community, and it's bringing a lot of joy and happiness, but tongue in cheek to that community, because I think it was done so over the top. I don't think that they were trying to send a message. I think that they were obviously doing it for laughs, and maybe it was a message. I don't know, because I'm not a part of the community, so I don't really want to speak for them at all.
That's what I'm saying.
But I think it was very blatant, and it was done in a horror movie and sometimes in a comedic way. So I honestly don't know how to take it as a 50-year-old heterosexual man who is very progressive myself. Yeah. I don't know how to understand it, how to break it down, how to talk about it.
Right. I mean, we had at one scene, Mark Patton is basically struggling with the thing inside of him.
Yes.
That is going to come out whether he wants to or not. I mean, really, that's kind of what Freddy is saying, right? He's an allegory.
He wasn't out at that point. The actor, Mark Patton, was not out at that point. And
exactly.
He had some issues. He had some problems with this, too, when it did come out.
Right. But, like, to me, he's, like, Freddy legit seducing Jesse, like, in the stairway with, like, seductively, like, putting the knife across his head and across his lips, and he says, "You've got the body. And I want you, Jesse," is what he actually says. "I want you, Jesse. You've got the body and I've got the brains," basically setting up the possession kind of situation, but also that analog. And I'm not saying that closeted people have an evil demon inside of them. I am 1,000% not saying that. But certainly, could we not make the link that he is struggling with this thing that's coming out of him? And when eventually...
Well, remember, this was 1985, so obviously today we wouldn't do this. 1985, that was the message. Like, they all have something they're struggling with, and
right.
Should they, shouldn't they come out? And let's keep the monster inside. That was 1985, I think, or the start of the revolution, at least.
Right.
Jason. And then,
sorry.
So I know a lot of it they said was absolutely intentional, and then a lot of it was read into more, that wasn't really there, and they kind of read into it more after that. But at that time, it was really hard to come out if you were gay or lesbian or trans or anything. It was people were so hard on people back then, and it's so much more accepted now, which it should be. And I think back then, people were struggling, and that's what they kind of went with this about how much it was struggling. Even like the scene in the pool scene, like, I don't know, it's so weird. I didn't notice any of these things, like you said, when I watched it before, but I always kind of in my own back of my brain thought that Jesse and Lisa looked so weird together for some reason. I don't know why. I just thought they just did not look right together.
Nope.
And I loved the relationship between Grady and Jesse. I thought that was such a cute relationship, and they were so close, and they could talk about whatever, and he felt more comfortable talking to her. him about, problems or whatever. I don't know. I just liked their relationship, and I just thought it was kind of like Lisa and Jesse's relationship just looked weird to me. In fact, the producer, one of the producers, when they did that scene in the pool house, the love scene between Jesse and Lisa, he was cracking up so much looking at Jesse and Lisa together that he had to leave. Somebody else had to come in. And what I also noticed just from watching the movie, when Jesse first walks in there, there's like this much space, like, I don't know, like 2 feet of space on the bottom of the floor where you can see straight into the pool house. It's completely open. So she walks in there, and then they end up making out on the floor. I'm like, everyone can see you. You've stayed on the furniture. Nobody can see you. But they make if you rewind it, and I rewound it, when he walks in there, there's nothing on the bottom and the front. It's open. And they end up laying on the floor to make out rather than staying on the furniture, which was up higher. But I don't know. That was just something weird that I noticed. But I was talking to you about this as far as when Jesse when he went to the gay bar and he saw the teacher being there. At first, when I watched this when I was younger, I thought that was a dream. I always thought that was a dream, but it wasn't a dream. He was literally there. The teacher, for some reason, thought that he had the power to get him in trouble and make him go back to the high school and have him run laps around the gym, which I thought, why is Jesse letting him do this? Like,
At
this
what
is
hour?
after hours. Yeah, this isn't school time. Like,
Yep.
you're not in trouble. This guy has no right to drag you to a high school at nighttime by yourself with no other people around. I thought that was so freaky. And then he tells him to go take a shower and he's naked. And while he's naked, when this teacher's all dressed up in his leather outfit, he goes and gets rope out of the with the balls and everything that's in there.
Yeah.
Why is he getting rope? What's he going to do with that rope? It just to me looked like a child abduction, possible rape scene. Why is this adult man bringing Jesse back to the high school literally by himself? And why is he getting rope out? What's he going to do? Make him jump rope for an hour after? He just told him to get in the shower to get cleaned up after he was sweaty from running laps around the gym. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I just
Right.
thought that was really weird.
Why do we think that wasn't a dream? I don't understand that. I assumed that was a dream. He went to the gay bar in his pajamas, if I remember correctly.
I thought that was a dream, but he wasn't. Because he comes home. He was out of the house. The police bring him home, and he
Right.
goes, and they said, "Is this yours?" And he's naked and he's wet from being in the shower.
Because I think he was sleepwalking, and then he thinks that maybe he did kill him. He doesn't know. I thought it was more of a device, a plot device. But I could have swore it started as a dream, and he
I
ended
don't
up.
know. Either way, he was there. He did.
It was
He
too
there.
dreamlike. Because then that would make no sense at all if he just. A high school
Really?
student goes to a gay bar in his pajamas and meets his coach and then does laps, and it's like the classic dream. I don't know. I'm going with
I thought it was a
on
dream
that.
too.
I thought it was real. I thought it was
Yeah.
real because he ends
Until
up like
after.
he kills him as Freddy, even though
Yeah.
towels are invisibly whipping him to death. Go figure.
Well, that's why I think it's a
Um,
dream.
Yeah, but I mean, he's still dead.
Watching it happen, just
But
like
he's
when
still-
he's
yeah,
watching
he's-
what's happening to Grady.
Jay,
right.
what do you think?
I don't know. I was leaning towards real, but I mean, because there was, I think he was using him as some sort of puppet. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, yes.
The bottom-
well, obviously, like none of it works. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense to any of us because that's why we're sitting here debating it, and we'll never get to the bottom of it because
Right.
I don't think it works. Like, I think there's an issue with it, with the way.
Yeah, I just think that the movie, even though getting past all the subtext and all that stuff, I mean, it really doesn't. I mean, granted, the rules of the universe. You needed rules for the universe, right? Whatever movie you're watching, there's got to have some rules. Otherwise, anything it turns into a David Lynch film where anything can happen at any time for any reason. Next thing you know, the lady's coming in talking backwards. So, so you need to have some kind of rules. And the first film had rules of how Freddy operates and why that's so terrifying. And I don't think they do a good job in this movie, like staying in those rules. And in fact, most of it doesn't really make a lick of sense, like at all. Like trying to, like the fact that we don't know, and it's not because they're like Kubrick. I mean, the director's movie isn't Kubrick. Like, we're gonna leave it a mystery. No, it's just bad writing and bad plot development and bad shooting schedule. But we don't know if it was a dream or not. And really, we should. At that point, we should know if it's a dream or if he's just been possessed. But the fact of the matter is we don't know if it's a dream or if he was just possessed. We know it's not a dream when he almost kills his sister, but we don't know in this situation. And so that's just bad movie making. It's just like I said,
Well,
it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's got to make, look, if a movie's going to be good, it's got to make some sense, even though the rules are ridiculous. No matter how ridiculous it is, there's got to be some rules. And it seems to me that he doesn't do a good enough job. Whoever, the writer, director, or whatever, doesn't do a good enough job kind of making it obvious as to what the hell is going on. It's not supposed to be a mystery.
Well, and this actually goes with it, with Grady's death, because if Freddy rips, you can see Freddy coming out of Jesse. And Grady sees this. He sees the knives coming out of his fingers. So Grady's watching this. He is seeing this. This isn't a dream. Grady is watching this. So he's seeing Jesse get ripped apart by Freddy coming out of his body, okay?
Yep.
So if Jesse gets ripped to pieces, then how is he standing there in whole immediately after looking in the mirror and it's Freddy in the mirror? That doesn't make any sense. If Jesse's seeing himself in the mirror, then in a way it's almost like Jesse's saying like, okay, this is really me, but if I look in the mirror, it's Freddy that's making me really do this. So you would think that this is really Jesse killing Grady, but looking in the mirror, you would see Freddy, and you would think he's making him do that. But that's not true, because Grady literally just saw Freddy rip Jesse apart and come out of his body.
Right.
And put down Jesse's like a big mush ball on the ground, and Freddy's actually standing there. And Grady saw that happening. So that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Nope.
Was that Grady's dream?
Uh-oh.
Well, there was a sleepover. Wouldn't he have fallen asleep at some point?
I don't know, because Jesse's watching everything too, and then he looks in the mirror and he sees Freddy.
I don't know.
And then he looks down and he sees that he's full of blood, and then he jumps out the window.
And talk about the end, when the only way to get Freddy back, because Freddy says, "I'm Jesse now," at the end, right? And the only way that we can save the day is for Jesse to kind of wake up inside of Freddy, and then Freddy comes out of Jesse. Well, wasn't Jesse somewhere else? How did he get? Are there two Jessies? Like, what's happening? What's happening?
Like we said, it's got. I said we could talk about it for an hour and it won't matter because the rules aren't lining up.
Yeah,
nothing's lining up. Like, you know, back real quick. You were saying it makes no sense that a kid would listen. Like, this is 1985, and kids probably feared their teachers and respected them a little more than in 2022. Meaning 2022, they'd be like, "Fuck you, I'm out and about. I ain't going." This kid is probably like, "I'm probably gonna get in a lot of trouble with my parents if this teacher says something that I was at a bar." So, you know, yeah. I bought it a little bit that he went with him because he's just afraid of everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's afraid of the teacher. He's afraid of people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in his own nightmare at the beginning, he's even like dorkier than he ever was.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
His hair's all slicked back and everything.
Yep.
I noticed
like,
that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like the poor kid, he can't even be cool in his dreams.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
By the way, also, on the other conversation about how the gays were treated back then, 1985, top, like peak of the AIDS fear.
Yes.
Sure. Yep.
Like that, especially with the pure unknown. Okay.
Yep.
And then unfortunately, they were being full on blamed. You know what I mean? It was all about, you know what I mean? So that's a big deal. Like that gets woven in to maybe, you know, the fears and whatnot of
like people not being able to be themselves. Yeah, exactly. Right. I mentioned earlier, because Jay, you mentioned when he was on the bus and he couldn't even act, you know, be cool on the bus.
The poor guy.
Okay, so what I was talking to Ray and Chris earlier, and I was like, this is another thing that doesn't make sense. So in all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, if, like, say, you know, when Nancy was dreaming and her friends were in it, or they all dreamed of him. They all talked about, I dreamed about that guy too. I dreamed about this guy too, especially in Dream Warriors. If you dream about this guy, you can get hurt in your dreams and you start fearing him and you start knowing about him. But he was on the school bus, obviously with people who he went to school with. And there was 2 girls left on that bus with him when that bus is dangling from that, wherever the heck that was.
It's a great sequence, by the way.
Yeah.
Big fan of that sequence.
All the time. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. So those girls are also in danger in Jesse's dream. And, you know, they were on the school bus. They looked like they either got hurt or killed, but there's no mention of anybody getting hurt or killed in school the next day, and nobody else is in the school talking about this crazy dream they had. You know what I mean?
Unless it was they were extras, meaning in his dream. They weren't
Extras.
actually dreaming.
Well, they were extras.
No,
But
I
in
know
his
that.
dream,
But what I mean is,
yeah.
like, you know, in part 1, you know how, like, Nancy falls asleep in class, but yet her class is still there.
Right. They're not all dreaming.
They're all
about it.
part of the dream. Like that guy,
Oh,
that
you're
kid
right.
that's
Okay.
talking at the front of the class. So they could not. They might not have been dreaming about him.
You're
Okay.
right. You're right.
That's a great sequence though, because the stakes keep getting larger and larger. Like first you're on a bus, which is uncomfortable. Then you're on a bus with people that are sort of like snickering at you. Then you're on a bus
Yeah.
that goes off the road or that doesn't pick people up. Then you're on a bus that goes in a desert. Then the desert starts to open up. Then you're on 2 pylons. Then you're on 1 pylon. And then like that's a neat progression.
Yeah.
And the set
Man.
pieces and yeah. and
No, I was driven by Robert England.
Yeah.
Before he became
Yes,
Freddy.
with no
Right.
Like
makeup.
the
Right.
Robert, you know what I mean? Like, which they barely show him, but it's like, hey, that's Robert England.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
throw it out there. And again, I don't know. And I'll throw it out there for anybody that wanted to respond. The set pieces are neat. Okay. So the murders and the kills and the gags, I call them gags, right? For the special effects. They're neat, but the in-betweens are kind of boring. Like the only thing, like there's not a lot going on in between the set pieces. The only thing that I did like about the in-betweens is that every morning Jesse comes in and gets another like mug of coffee. And every morning he looks worse and worse. So good for him for acting. Like he does look more and more terrible as
Yeah.
the time goes by, which I appreciated. And he does sell it. And he doesn't oversell it. He's not like, oh God, like you can just sell he looks terrible. But I guess my issue with the movie, and again, maybe it's me, that's why I'm asking. The set pieces are cool. They don't really make sense, but the in-betweens, except for the things that tie the set pieces together are kind of dull. Somebody help me out with this. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't one of my favorite leads in a horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't ever think I connected with him. Although, like you said, his acting was great. I mean, when
Yeah.
he was frustrated, when he was losing it, you could tell. Much
Yeah.
like Nancy in the first one, she played that very well too. But other than that, I didn't care about his relationship with Lisa. I didn't even think they belonged together.
No,
I
it was
think I
so weird.
knew that back then. I think
Yeah,
I
me too.
realized. And I liked Grady. I thought he was fun. And so he was okay. He was the comic relief. We needed that. But Jesse was just plain boring. And, his dad was fantastic, but we didn't have enough of him.
Right. So
His dad was crazy. I mean, if you have your pets, which are lovebirds, and they're obviously petrified and they're flying around the room, I don't care if they reach down and they happen to peck you or scratch you with their claws. They're scared. I'm not going to go get my broom and sit there and try to kill my family pet. The other thing is he's blaming his wife for buying cheap seed.
Yep.
Did you hear that?
Oh yeah.
He goes, what is it, bird rabies? Is that cheap seed that you've been buying? And I'm like, okay. like,
But
Then
that's
just
turns
gonna
it
make
around
fun
and
of
blames
it.
his son.
Yeah.
He blames his kid also. Like, I mean, you can't blame your child for the fact that your
Horrible.
bird just like burst into flames.
Yeah.
It's the worst kind of father knows best. Like he
Yeah.
obviously has strong armed that the decision making in the home, and all of his decisions are garbage. But that's kind of that nuclear family 80s vibe that dad's in charge and he's gonna make all the decisions, much to the detriment of everyone around him, and won't mind telling them when they're wrong, when they're not, which is, I'm glad, hopefully that's not commonplace. But again, that's what these movies are doing. They're a mirror of the times, right? Movies are a mirror of the times. And that's what they were going for with the film, to kind of show this kind of, I can't think of the word, pointless chauvinism. I can't think of it. Toxic masculinity. So there's kind of this toxic masculinity. Dad's in charge, and that's it. And what I say goes. Also, it's putting a mirror up to the fact that anybody that is so alpha male, as in the gym teacher, must be hiding something. They must be overcompensating somehow, because really he's into that other stuff, which again is fine. But that's kind of like, it's like seeing, never mind. I'm going to say it anyway. Guys with giant trucks with giant tires. And you go, man, I'm very sorry. You know what I mean?
Sorry for the wife.
Yes, right. Yeah. So,
No,
so
and they
that's,
top it off. And they top it off with a pair of testicles on the back.
yeah.
We have a ton of those down here. It's
No,
insane.
shocker. It's the South.
It's
All
upsetting.
right. So
Oh my
it's
God,
like one of those
it's
things.
crazy.
Come on, man.
it's like, we know, we get it. I'm sorry.
Well, this all plays into the original theme of the movie. Yeah, So all that, it's not subtext, like you said, Chris. It's not subtext.
Nope.
It
I mean,
was
there's it's blatant. There's a sign on the kid's door that says "No chicks." Anybody see that?
No,
What's
I
that?
haven't even
It
noticed
says
that.
"No chicks."
all right.
And
That's
again,
funny.
we have the game Probe that's in the closet. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there. Again, it's hard to say that's not like that's what I mean. Like I want to say that's funny, but I'm not saying it like haha Probe.
Right.
Like I'm not doing a Beavis and Butthead thing. It's funny that it's right there. The probing is in the closet. I mean, it's a scent. It's right there. You know what I mean?
I think also,
I'm not. Yeah.
Who would have watched a horror movie and just thought that they were going to see something in these themes that you were talking about, that we've been
Subliminal.
talking about?
Yeah.
No, but
I think it was
nobody
all
would have thought
subliminal.
of that. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you walk in, you're like, I'm going to see a horror movie. And you walked out, I just saw a horror movie. Because you weren't
Yeah. I know.
allowing your brain to go there at all. Like,
Right.
you weren't seeing it because, you know, I mean, like, it's, I guess, you know, kind of different, but like, you ever walked out of a movie that you wanted to see, and you're like, yeah, it was all right. But then, like, as time went on, you're like, yeah, it really sucked. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but you wanted to like it so badly that you're sort
That
of
was
okay
me
with
for
it at
Clue.
first.
That was me for Clue.
Blue.
No, but
I saw it
I'm
in the
saying
theater,
it
and I
sometimes-
couldn't admit. I saw it in the theater. I couldn't admit that I didn't like it. And I got home like,
No.
oh, that wasn't good. Sorry.
No, but like what I'm saying is, if you're not expecting something like that, you might not pick it up on it at all. Like there's no chance of your brain because we're just like everything else had never done that before.
I agree with you, and because we all were subject to that because no one thought of it. But how did we not see it when we watched him dance? How did we not see that? I ask you.
Well, we were also
how?
14.
How did we not
13.
see that? I
You know
know,
why?
but I know. I'm just saying, like it's crazy
Because-
that. Go ahead.
We just saw Tom Cruise do it in Risky Business,
Fair enough.
Right.
and never once thought
Yep.
anything suspect about that. And then
Fair
it was
enough.
like,
Well,
oh,
wasn't-
cool, another dance.
Well, but yeah,
Wait,
that's
guys,
true. That's
you
true. Right. No, yeah, that's true. No, but what
Every
about
movie we go see now is going to have a dance with a guy with
yeah.
the button down and no pants.
Footloose?
Yeah.
Yeah, Footloose.
A lot of
Footloose,
dances.
Top
Dancing,
Gun.
you know,
Top
Dancing
Gun,
on-
volleyball.
The only difference with this movie is he capped it off with that little popcorn.
Oh my god.
That was the icing on the cake right there.
Right, but
I like that there's a
wasn't the
male lead
song
in here.
wasn't the
Oh, I
song
don't know what the
also
song
a
was.
no, but wasn't it like woman, like I'm a woman or something like that?
Was it?
No,
It
it
was-
was hold
No,
me,
it-
baby, drive me crazy, touch me all
Was it
night.
really?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot of money to get that song back then for that
But
movie.
it was different in the beginning. Like it was a weird beginning, and
But
then
it
I
was
didn't
from a
recognize
woman's
it.
point of
It was a
view.
song that I knew.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's funny.
Wow. Hey, while we're at it, and just talking about the lovely '80s, boy. So we know about parenting in the '80s, but I don't know. I understand that they were trying to juxtapose a parent throwing a party versus the teenagers throwing a party.
I know.
So they're grilling hamburgers and they have music from the 30s.
horrible music
And
from
then-
the 20s or 30s. Yes.
And so the wife says, you know, come on, let's let the kids have some fun. And the way to coax them away from the grill is with sex. So they're going inside to fool around. And the moment they go inside, here comes the radio flyer full of beers, and everybody starts hooking up. And the parents are still there. They're not only there, and again, God bless you for fooling around. That's fine. But what is happening?
Well, can I add to that?
That's crazy. Yeah,
But that
Can
pool
I-
was super far away from that house. It was like a whole yard away from the house.
I know, but
Yes.
wowzers.
Even if it
They have
is, even
ears,
if it
don't
is,
they?
guys, even if it's far away, not right, you know, not like really far. So, even if it is, you got.
They were just kissing each other, except for
No,
her
no.
daughter, but she was in the pool house
No.
hiding. They didn't see her.
My point being that they watched for the lights to go out in the parents' bedroom. That doesn't mean sound does not travel
Right.
into their bedroom. So,
Right.
Yeah.
like, what I'm saying is, if you are in that bedroom and you shut the lights and you hear, yeah, like all the kids cheering,
Yeah.
it's like,
Maybe-
oh,
Maybe they were cheering
we
the
sh-
parents. Maybe they were cheering
Huh?
the parents on for what they were about to do.
True.
Regardless, it sounds like
True.
something's going down at the party. Like the moment we shut the lights. Oh, it's pretty funny.
But he was like, "Oh, what's going on down there?" She's like, "They're just kids." And he's like, "Yeah, but I want to get some rest." Well, then why'd you let your daughter have a party? Obviously, they don't want to listen to the 20s music and then sit there and eat burgers and then leave at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
They're having a pool party and they want you to go away and they're going to have a party. And of course, they're going to listen to their own music. It doesn't make any sense.
The one thing about the party that always struck me odd, besides those things, was the one kid that thought he could reason with Freddy Krueger.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, I'm like, no, don't. He's a
Yeah.
bad guy. He's got fingers that are
bad guy.
claws.
He's already
what are
killed
you
like
doing?
3 people.
Oh.
Yep.
And he's such a presence, right? I mean, if it was some guy that hobbled out of the bushes with a big beard and raggedy clothes, maybe you could talk that guy down, but not Freddy Krueger. And by the way, that's also a really cool scene when the fire starts shooting up.
I
And
love
he
that
said,
scene.
"You are my children," and I
Yeah.
liked that as a set piece as well. Not so much a set piece, but
Yeah.
just that moment in film. That's really visual and something that sticks with you.
However, the
That was
setup.
my favorite scene, actually, and I'm going to tell you that was Wes Craven's least favorite scene. He hated that scene, and he hated so many things with this movie. But one of the reasons why he hated that scene was because Robert Englund is obviously super tiny. He's like between 5'9" and 5'10" at the most, depending on what website you look at.
I'm 5'7". What does that make me?
Well,
Jesus.
apparently he wanted Freddy to be like this big, scary, guy, And so, in all the other ones, you can't really tell how big he is. And so he hated the fact that he was like this little guy at a pool scene and the teenagers were bigger than he was. And he thought that would be he was ruining Freddy Krueger and they were making him not scary because the teenagers were bigger than he is. But as my younger daughter would say, because she likes these movies, she said, and I agree with her, he doesn't need to be big. He's evil and he's a child predator. You don't need to be some big scary guy to be this disgusting dead burn victim that kidnaps children. You know what I mean? You don't need to be.
You know what that sounded like for a second? It sounded like you too could be a child predator because you don't have to be tall.
You don't need to be.
You don't have to.
As long as you have the will and the drive, you too.
It doesn't matter how
It's
tall
like
you are.
some very crazy niche for like self-help.
Wow.
But yeah, Wes Craven hated that, and that was always my favorite scene in the movie. I thought that was so cool with the fire, and that was I always remember that being my favorite scene, and that was Wes Craven's least favorite scene. He thought it was the dumbest thing. He said it's just silly, really.
I will give you the
it's
credit.
cool.
I will agree with you that it is a cool moment.
Yeah.
However,
Yes.
to get the flames to come up, something has to fly through the air, hit the grill, knock it over, set it on fire, so we can have a plume of flame. And that's kind of
Okay,
bullshit.
Mr. Science Teacher.
That's
give it a
kind of
break.
bullshit right there. And also,
No, but like
would
I
we
was, it felt. Sorry, Ray. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna say, would we have that much flames
No.
if a top was to come off of a grill?
No.
I mean, that was like high-end
because-
stuff. I'd be afraid to grill with a grill like that.
no, you should be actually happy. Look at my
Yeah,
grill.
but the flames were in the pool too. The flames were all in the pool on top
No,
of the water.
it's awesome.
It was all a dream. It was all a dream.
It's not a dream, Ray. That was
It's not
real.
a dream. It's not a dream.
No,
he was
but-
there.
but-
Just, he wasn't
I'm
faithful.
kidding. I'm kidding.
No, but what I was gonna say is along those lines. It seemed like everything was kind of magical at that point. Besides the fact he stabbed a couple kids with his hands, but I'm saying like, you know what I mean?
Except for that, it was
for that.
magical. It was
No,
magic.
no, magical like dreamlike.
Whimsical and
like,
magical.
Magical.
no, yeah. Then unicorns
It's
appeared.
David Copperfield. Next thing you know, we're going to make the
No.
Statue of Liberty disappear.
No, but all right. So fine, different
Gonna
choice of
fly
words.
across the Grand
Canyon. Dreamlike stuff happening, like
Yeah.
meaning like stuff that wouldn't be of the norm. So like,
Yes.
I mean, how is that all of a sudden like like to go back to our rule problem?
Yeah,
It's almost like
No, but
he
that's-
brought dreams into reality. Maybe that was it. Maybe
Yeah.
him being present in real life made real life dream-like.
I guess.
Wow, that's a stretch.
I guess we
I'll
have
go
to
back
accept
to
it. We have to.
I'm
And
trying.
I'll go back to what I was talking about, Chris and Ray, when you had left for a minute. My thing on this movie that makes it different from the other ones, and the reason why people don't like it, because a lot of times I've heard that people don't like it because they don't like that Freddy needed Jesse instead of just killing people in their dreams, and that's what makes it different. But because he was killed supposedly or whatever, people didn't believe in him. You know, like what Nancy made everybody not be scared, and that's kind of how she did in the beginning. And in part 1, she realized that she's not going to be scared of him, and it's going to make him go away. So just kind of like in Freddy versus Jason, he needed Jason to be the body because people didn't remember him anymore and they weren't scared of him anymore. So he needed Jason to be the body. He needed Jesse to be the body in this one. But if you look at the whole movie with the flames coming up out of the pool and the house always being like 97, 100 degrees, super hot, the toaster exploding, the bird exploding, and the fact that you mentioned, Chris, how Jesse's looking more crappy every day, he's being possessed. This is a possession. This is different from the other ones where he's just coming to people in their dreams. This is a possession. It's a poltergeist type ghost situation. And that's what ghost poltergeist type things do in the house.
Mm-hmm.
They can create things like that in the house. He's making the house as hot as his furnace or boiler room was, and being able to explode things. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's more of a possession type of a movie than the other ones. It's totally different in that way.
Can I?
That's
I'm
how I
make
look at it.
an observation, and then maybe we can kind of see if we can wrap up soon. But
Go to TMI.
that furnace is like a Burbs level furnace. I don't know what the hell what house are they heating with that furnace? Holy Jesus. That's like, it's a little hot down here, Ray, for your typical Ray from the Burbs. You know, for your typical domicile, like, holy, what the hell?
Well, you know, when you like in the winter and the house is nice and warm, you leave the door open, your dad says, "What are you trying to heat the whole neighborhood?"
Yep.
With that furnace? Yes, we are. We're trying to heat the whole neighborhood.
Yep, in California.
And it doesn't work.
By the
It
way,
doesn't work right.
in California, how cold does it get?
Right.
Oh yeah, that too.
How cold does it get? So,
All right,
cool,
let's
man.
do
All right.
TMI.
It's time for TMI with Melanie.
Listen to this. I am in the bathroom right before the movie starts. And I'm in the stall, and there's no toilet paper.
And mine are at home in a display case above my bed.
TMI, my friends.
It's just
TMI?
TMI.
Too much
I used to say
information.
don't go there, but that's lame.
Now, here's Melanie with your timeless movie info.
All right, timeless movie info with Melanie.
Okay, I just have a few things. So the high school in this was the same as the Karate Kid. It was the only film in the series where Freddy kills outside of dreams, such as the pool scene that we were talking about. Out of 87 minutes of this movie, Freddy is only on screen for 13 minutes.
The Beetlejuice of his time.
Yeah. The name of let's see. Oh, this movie is called Freddy's Revenge, but who is he really, what is he taking revenge on?
I wrote that down.
Yeah,
I wrote that.
the first one he was taking revenge against the parents and he was trying to like get to the kids, but like what is he revenging on this? I don't get that one. Did you write that? You wrote that down. Released November 1st, 1987 with a budget of $3 million. It grossed $30 million, so they made a really good amount of money on that one. The film score was great, I thought, composed by Christopher Young. And then, Robert Englund wasn't even supposed to be in this one. They didn't want him in it because they didn't want to pay him for it. And so they hired a stunt person instead. But after like a few weeks of filming, they realized that was a bad idea and they wanted him back. But there's one part where the old stunt double is in it where we're talking about the coach getting killed when he was in the shower and it was all misty. Mm-hmm. The Freddy that was in there, you can kind of see him in the mist. That was a stunt double. Well, not really stunt double. That was the guy that they hired instead of Robert Englund. They left that one part in there. This is the only Nightmare film where there has a male lead cast character, and I actually really liked that. Now, makeup effects artist Kevin Yager replaced David B. that did part 1. He wanted Freddy to have a new demonic witch look, so he gave him red eyes and spent a lot of time studying burn victim pictures. Michael J. Fox was considered for Jesse, but he didn't have the time.
Oh.
You know who else lost out to it?
Who?
Brad Pitt.
Oh my God.
Lost out to it or decided not to do it?
I'm
Right.
pretty sure he didn't get hired. Like he wasn't Brad Pitt yet, meaning like the famous Brad Pitt.
This was out 85, I believe, though. 1985 it came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, released 1987. that 1987? Am I wrong?
That was part
No, it's
3.
85.
Yeah, it's 85.
Yeah.
85? Okay, so that's wrong.
Yeah, 87 was part 3.
Okay.
And
Special
that,
effects artists.
I only say that because it makes a difference with like Michael J. Fox and Brad Pitt. I think those
Right.
2 years make a huge difference with those guys.
Oh, you're totally right, because they said that Michael J. Fox was considered, but he was working on Teen Wolf and Back to the Future, so you're right, because they're totally right. Special effects artist Rick Lazari created listen to this. He created a puppet for it was supposed to be a parakeet that explodes, but the filmmakers wanted a regular looking bird, and to that I say,
Yeah.
Did they blow up a real bird, because they didn't
Yeah.
want to use a puppet because it looked too fake? I thought that was kind of funny.
It's the old Alka-Seltzer and bird trick.
Yep.
Oh God, that's horrible.
No animals
Little
were harmed
gunpowder.
except that bird.
And I think that's all I have. Except
by the
for
way,
I just
this,
wanted to say. Oh, what'd you
No, I
say?
was gonna say, by the way, this episode is brought to you by Alka-Seltzer.
Nice.
And that's all I have, except for I wanted to say, like, how in the world is Lisa not scared of him? Love is so blind, because he's sitting there with blood all over him, and he's like, I killed Grady.
Yep.
And I killed Snyder, and he's full of blood, and she's like, no, Jesse, no.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? Crazy.
Yeah, I think she was just working with whatever they gave her, because it's like she has to sit there and go, I love you. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I mean, there's really only so much you can do with that. Like at the
Yeah.
end when she like, you know, is just trying to wish him back to life, you know, like out of
And that
Freddy.
actually
Like,
works. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that works, because everybody was saying that really Jesse was really in love with Grady. But if that was true, then the death of Grady would have been enough to fight Freddy. But it didn't. It was love for Lisa at the very end, though. That Lisa was
Yeah,
able
well,
to pull him out of that. You know?
The original
hey,
romance.
you gotta remember, they didn't even know why they called it Freddy's Revenge.
Yeah.
You know, like,
No.
Right.
this is the same
Just
people
like
that
the
don't
whole
know.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't
All right, you want to do Final Judgment?
Yeah, let's hit it.
It's time now for Final Judgment. Are you ready to rubber stamp this bitch? Here's the Final Judgment.
All right, now it's time for Final Judgment. Up until this point, it has been opinion, but now opinion becomes fact, and we set in stone the answer to the question, does this movie stand the test of time? Let's start with Ray.
No, I don't think so. I mean, horror-wise, the gags, all that, I like it. The kills are good. Some of the special effects are great. Some of those moments stand the test. But as far as the theme of keeping the monster inside, you know, I don't think it holds up today at all.
Cool.
And that's it. Nice and
All right.
simple.
All right. Yep. Ray, who do you want to give it to?
Let's give it to Melanie.
Melanie.
I'm going to go opposite probably of everyone else. I'm going to say, yeah, it does hold up, because to me it's just as cheesy as all the other ones. They're all cheesy, except for one. That's the only one that I've ever felt wasn't cheesy. They're all cheesy to me. So if you can think that the other ones are kind of stupid and don't make sense and they have funny things going on, well, yes, this is dated, but they all are. So I'm going to say yes.
Okay. No, I've
I know
gone
I'm
that.
probably opposite of everybody else.
I've gone that tack before. Like if they're all the same and you still like them, then obviously they kind of hold up, just because like they were then and they are now, right? So I can agree with that, though I do disagree with you. I don't think it holds up. I don't think it holds up because the gags are cool. Ray already hit upon like the themes. I don't even think the themes are like, I would rather have a horror movie. I'd rather watch a horror movie that has a theme than torture porn. You know, like your hustles and all that stuff. That doesn't really do much for me, even though I do like gore. I just think there's no connection between the set pieces. I think that the story in between is kind of dull, and I don't really care that much. Even though, like I said, Jesse, whatever, I forget his name. His name?
Jesse.
Mark Patton.
Mark Patton. Mark Patton does a great job. I think he did as much as he could with what was given him. I just don't think that the characters are that fleshed out. And so, upon reflection, and I don't think it's a good enough horror movie to stand what horror movies are today, even though horror movies today can be kind of shitty. I just don't think, like, just trying to be overblown. I just don't think it holds up. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. And just from my own personal opinion, I liked it then. I don't like it now. I don't like it as much now. I still like Freddy, and I still like the character, and I like the idea, but I think the movie just lacks a little too much in between, and so therefore I don't think it holds up. So that's that. Jason.
I don't know. It's one of those. It's kind of. It's been hard for me. Like I went in real low, expecting so little. So it's easy sometimes to be like happy with the result because you expected nothing. So, I mean, I enjoyed it more than I expected I would. It's hard to decide, like whether it holds up or not. Like, is this all these different things that, like, obviously, like, I don't think would work today, or like at different times. Like just the way it's set up, like the way they're making fun of the fact that the gym teacher goes out at night and stuff like that. Like stuff like that wouldn't play well today. So I'm going to say no as far as all overall. This one, I got to say, if you're looking for a horror, all right, first one, really creepy, gritty. Like number one is creepy and gritty and scary. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's times where I'm like, ooh. This one, almost like a cartoon, meaning the way it feels so, like I don't feel nervous. Like I don't feel tense. I don't feel like I'm really watching a horror movie necessarily. Like it's more like, I'm not saying it's comedic like the other ones. Like, you know what I mean? The way the other ones would become like, stand-up comic Freddy Krueger, everybody. Yeah. That's what it felt like. No, but it was just like something not scary. And I think it's, like I said earlier, I said vibrant colors, everything like didn't feel scary at all. Like, like when he's got the dream sequence and he goes down and he sees Freddy in his basement throwing stuff in the furnace.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
That did not feel eerie at all. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like moments like that in part one would have been scary. It wasn't scary. You know what I mean? So like, sure. I don't know. Like, I don't think it holds up because I think if you're expecting a horror, I guess if you're afraid of everything, then you're going to be afraid of this. But
if you're afraid of everything,
you know what I mean? If you're
that's setting the bar really low. If you're afraid of everything,
like what? I'm going to give you an example. My daughter sees a scary movie on a trailer and covers her eyes. Okay, that's a person who's afraid of pretty much everything. So I wouldn't show her this. Right. You know what I'm saying? But anyone else who's a fan would probably not think it's that scary. So I don't know. I'm just going to say no.
Dream Warriors is so good, and it's not scary.
That's more of an action film.
I think, but I think after that, everything kind of like this series took its own path that wasn't maybe where Wes Craven was taking it in the beginning.
Yeah.
So
I think
Friday the 13th actually.
I think Friday the 13th actually like tries to come around. Like it starts to go downhill, and it makes an effort to kind of tack and try to improve itself. Whereas Friday the Nightmare on Elm Street just kind of keeps sinking lower and lower into its own like hype a little bit, rather than trying to change it up. Yeah. They just keep hitting the same idea over and over again.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was our show. I would like to thank Ray Auger for joining us today. Ray, why don't you remind everybody where you? Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. What were you gonna say? Remind people about?
Oh, so yeah. Where to find you?
Well, I guess you can listen to the podcast. I've got a New England Legends podcast, and then a new podcast called Don't Quit Your Day Job, which is about playing in a local cover band. And I talk to some other local cover band people, and we talk about the ins and the outs of the business. But if you like live music, then, it's still entertaining to non-musicians, I think.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
I see you on the Facebook.
Also like to thank... Sorry, I'd like to thank Steve Lavoie. I said stank. I'd like to thank Steve Lavoie for our introduction and our other stuff. Like, he made that awesome TMI intro and the other intro for Final Judgment. So, and I'd like to thank Draco and the Malfoys for our theme song. And please rate and review and help us out. Like and subscribe, folks. We could use it. And tell your friends about us. So, I am Jay Fortier, and on the behalf of Chris and Melanie, I'd like to thank you again for joining us here on the Film Crickets. Until next time, movies may not age like fine wine, but we drink them anyway, right?
Right.
Film Crickets, chirping about movies.